Welcome to The Vinyl Guide, the podcast for record collectors and music nerds. Here's your host, the biggest record nerd of them all, Nate Goyer.
Well, hey everyone, it's Nate. Welcome to episode 551 of The Vinyl Guide, the podcast for record collectors and music nerds. And ladies and gentlemen, I am talking to you live from America, California, and Austin. It was the Austin Record Convention this weekend. Whew, I am pooped, but man, did I get some fantastic loot. And you'll probably be seeing all that on Instagram. Fantastic time, great barbecue, great margaritas, great crowds. Thanks to everyone who DM'd me, spent a few moments with me, had a chat. Always love hanging out with fellow record nerds. So thanks again for everything. I'm back in California, grabbing a few more tacos before I head back to lovely Sydney, Australia, in the throes of its winter. However, today, I'm going to be sharing a recent conversation I had with Lydia Lunch, who, if you know Lydia, you'll know she's never short of things to say. I've always wanted to have Lydia on the show, and this is a great chance. She is on her way to Australia and New Zealand for the month of June, and she's doing some very interesting shows. Live covers of Suicide and Alan Vega songs. She's got some performances with Tex Perkins, even a screening of her documentary, The War Is Never Over. Lots of stuff happening. Should be a good time all around. Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Adelaide, Wellington. You can Google up tickets, or you can get a list of the ticket links over at pressplaypresents.com. And then you got to navigate over to a little picture of Lydia and press that. There's a whole list there. I'll put that link in this episode page for ease of use. How's that? And hey, if you like this conversation with Lydia, please follow The Vinyl Guide in your podcast app, and you could have access to over 500 other episodes and interviews as well. Some with the likes of Martin Rev, episode 487. Mike Watt joined us telling tales of his time with the Stooges, episode 527. Visual artist and punk rock pioneer Raymond Pettibon joined us, episode 521. We had Alice Bagg and Kid Congo Powers join us, episode 499. Even had Jeff and Stephen McDonald of Red Cross join us, episode 476, and literally hundreds more conversations available for free anytime. All you got to do is follow us in your podcast app, or you could take the next step and help support the show at patreon.com/vinylguide. A few bucks a month does keep me full of beer and burritos, keeps me happy and pumping out these episodes. Anyway, anything you could do is appreciated. And again, thanks for listening to the Vinyl Guide podcast. So here we go. Let's get into our conversation with the one and only Lydia Lunch. Lydia, oh Lydia.
Are you Groucho Marx today, or are you just grouchy?
You once swept an admiral clear off his feet. Oh, I just love that song, though. Anyway.
Well, I love Groucho Marx. I think he's one of my idols, perhaps.
I remember the day he died. I was young, and I remember my dad telling me the world's funniest man died today, which is mixed message.
I remember when Phyllis Diller, who had black hair at the time, was on his show. Phyllis Diller is absolutely a heroine of mine. By the way, she's played more concerts, I think, on sax than any woman alive. Comedians, multiple talents.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, look, speaking of multiple talents, welcome to the show, Lydia. I want to make sure.
Thank you.
I want to make sure everyone knows our favorite confrontationalist, Lydia Lunch, is on her way to Australia for much of the month of June, hitting up New Zealand, Melbourne, Brisbane, Sydney, Adelaide, even Perth, doing some gigs with Tex Perkins. Yeah, exactly. Let's not forget about Perth. It's a nice spot over there. You're also screening The War Is Never Over, the documentary, and doing a set of Suicide and Alan Vega tunes. So, very exciting.
Covering the continent with as much as I can spread myself over.
Now, Australia, you've had a long history with Australia. Australia embraces you. What are some of your favorite memories of Australia?
Well, I mean, some of the people, of course. I mean, Roland S. Howard, J.G. Thirlwell, Tex Perkins, Sean Simmons, who has brought me there many times. It takes a long time to get there, but it's always worth the travel. I love the clubs. I love the people. I love the food. I love the attitude. I love a penal colony. Just saying. Take it as you will. The thing is, what most people don't get is I consider myself actually a comedian, but most people just are too afraid to laugh. I don't get it. I'm laughing all the time. I mean, I think my spoken word, it's a stand-up comedy and tragedy all rolled into one. It's just the way it is.
Well, I think your primary art is words. Music is sometimes, but words is really your vehicle, yeah?
Well, music is just the machine gun to my bullets. So sometimes I use it and sometimes I don't. I do love the naked word. Naked people, not so much. Naked word, yes. Keep your boots on and your jeans on and maybe just unbuckle and let's call it a date.
Oh, boy.
It's only 8 a.m. for you. Why am I suddenly, I don't know why I'm feeling so randy and frisky. It is 6 o'clock here, p.m. in Brooklyn. So.
Well, why not? Who doesn't enjoy a little morning va-vouvent?
Morning delight. Oh, I mean, I have no idea what you do in the mornings, and you have no idea what I do either. But I'm open to suggestions.
Transcontinental.
Transcontinental. And by the way, I mean, it's always 1 o'clock to me somewhere. I mean, I never get jet lag because I live in my own time zone. It's very peculiar. I mean, I travel a lot. I mean, more than some, less than others. I never have jet lag. I'm a fembot.
Do you gradually go to sleep, or do you just hit a wall and pass out mid-sentence?
Well, okay, I sleep in shifts. Kind of the way in Victorian England, there were women that were called the waker-uppers, and they would go and throw stones at the window because there were no alarm clocks to wake people up. I wake myself up. I sleep in about 2-hour shifts, but then I go back to sleep. I always have to go to sleep with forensics unless somebody is being murdered and I'm not killing them and it's not me. I just can't do it. As a matter of fact, the other morning I woke up with David Berkowitz, son of Sam, 2 feet, maybe 1 foot from my face, talking about how he's a prison minister now. I'm like, well, should I shut that shit down? Excuse my language. But
curse all you want. This is an Australian show. You can say any word you wish.
Okay, I can't wait.
The full dictionary is available.
I sleep in shifts. I have for many years. I'm never tired, but whenever I feel like going to sleep, I go to sleep. Whatever. Just go to sleep when I will go to sleep. Mm-hmm. But I wake up every 2 hours. But at 5 a.m., I am famished. I could have gone to bed at midnight, 3 a.m., 4:45. 5 a.m., I wake up like a vampire, like I need some protein. I have tried to dissect what that issue is, can't figure it out. What the circadian time clock is telling me, I have no idea. But that's when I'm most hungry in the day, 5 a.m. And also, am I a sneak eater? I mean, it's quiet, nobody else is around. Oh, no, I just need a piece of protein. Give me a piece of meat at 5 a.m. and then I'm fine.
No matter where you're at in the world, that 5 a.m., it's...
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to tell an interesting story. I was at a friend of my house in LA, and he knew I have this 5 a.m. dilemma. So at 4:58, he comes into my room with a small bowl of pesto pasta. I'm like, thank you so much. And he goes, by the way, I have a date at 5:15 a.m. for 30 minutes. If you don't mind staying in bed. I go, why would I get up? I have my snack right here. Thank you very much. But the next night, he went to make himself a snack, left the pot on the stove, black burnout pasta, and all I could think of was, I know they're still at his house. What the hell? Never stayed at his house again. I'm like, that will not do.
Lesson
Just
learned.
saying.
So,
learned.
When is your most creative time of day?
Well, let me put it this way. No, there is no specific time. For instance, if I'm going to write a book, okay, which I'm about to write another one when I can carve out the amount of time. When I was writing Paradoxia, I would write every day from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., then stop because I have other shit to do. When I wrote my cookbook, it would be 3 p.m. to 6 p.m., and I would get books done in 3 months because I have the discipline of that time. Nothing else comes in, shut everything off. When I write song lyrics, the minute it hits me, the first word, I literally write them in 5 minutes. I'm like an automatic painter. And then I record them instantly, one take, and That's it. So that lyrics or songs, I mean, there's no specific time that, suddenly, but I don't have a backlog. I mean, right now I have a backlog of a few albums because let's face it, record industry sucks. But it's not like I have a lot of, or volumes of unpublished words, unused words, I'd say, because maybe all my words aren't published, but I write to only if I have to, if I'm going to use them, I write them. I don't sit there. I don't have a book of doodles. I don't have a book. I do not have a book of doodles sitting around.
Okay.
And now that I'm self-publishing from 48-hour publishing, which is miraculous, print a book for $4, sell it for $20. Great idea. So it's not like I have, a bunch of volumes under my bed, like a lot of women do that keep journals. And I try to target them and say, let's get those out into the public's ear. I just do what has to be done when it has to be done. It may seem like it's a lot by other people's standards, but I'm not sitting here going, I have to do something. No, when I have to do something, I do it. When I don't, I'm watching forensics. I'm lying in bed. I'm looking for the cat in the backyard. I'm feeding squirrels. Leave me alone. I can be as lazy. I can be the laziest bitch, I would say, in the whorehouse, but I gave that up a long time ago. I would just say in the church pews or whatever. And then I just do what I have to do when it needs to be done. So,
do you have a particular guilty pleasure you think would surprise people?
Well, I have no guilt, by the way. I've never felt guilt. I'm a fembot. Guilty pleasure. No, I mean, I'm a forensic fanatic. So true crime, is that a guilty pleasure? Okay, I'll admit to one because I have no guilt. Magic Mike. Matthew McConaughey. I'm a McConaughey then. Matthew McConaughey, as the owner of a dance club like a Chippendales, Tatum Channing, his true story. I don't like male dancers except in this movie, but I do like to see Matthew McConaughey in a pair of backless chaps. I just have to say it. I'm a McConaughey then. But we'll go back to this. True Detective season 1 is is that a guilty pleasure? Sometimes I just drop into a McConaughey type in eternity. I'll just sometimes drop into the personality. Of course, you will never find me naked playing bongos like we've heard about Matthew, or will I ever marry a Brazilian model? But nonetheless, we have something in common. I don't know what it is. He doesn't know me.
Well, never say never.
I do have a few videos called Midnight Stalking, where it usually terrifies most men. They see 1 or 2, they're fine, but they see the 3rd, they freak out. So it's for Louis C.K., the comedian who was busted for masturbating. But I made a video inviting him to masturbate 2 years before he was busted. I wanted to be a bad date on his show. It never worked out. Then I did one with Vincent D'Onofrio, Law and Order, and also he's The Cell. He's great in that. Where I'm
inviting him to masturbate too?
Well, I met him once and he ran away from me. It was like an elephant running away from a mouse. I don't get it. No, it's just, and then I did one for Woody Harrelson, of course, Natural Born Killers. But the McConaughey I'm still working on because, but I have like 5 pages of the printout of everything he said in True Detective, one of my favorite shows ever. Guilty pleasures. I have no guilt. I have many pleasures. I'm a hedonist. Damn it. By day, I rot my brain with war porn, political porn, the absolute ridiculous nature of America being exactly what it always was, but now more so than ever. I mean, what America is projecting, and the stupidity and the asininity, the arrogance, the vulgarity, and the corruption, which, hello, Bullhorn has been to my lips since Ronald Reagan, same as it ever was. This is what a part of America really is. So don't think it's not. I mean, the other 2/3 of us are suffering daily, or I'm laughing daily as an apocalyptician. I'm like, just drop the bomb on fucking Trump's head. Come on, do it. Back to the comedy. I did write a letter which had the most laughter of anything I've ever done, called Dear Ivanka. What the hell is wrong with you, darling? And I list all her crimes. And of course, the punchline was, and you can't do the one humanly decent thing and commit patricide. Dear Ivanka, what the hell is wrong with you? Just saying. That's how I entertain myself. Comedy letters to people that will never read them. It got the most laughs of anything I ever did. I don't know why. It's all true facts about her own criminal enterprises.
Now, do you listen to music daily? Do you have any particular artists that you are on heavy rotation?
No, I mean, look, I have enough voices in my own head, but I mean, there are some new groups that I'm promoting or taking on tour or producing. There's a great band called Genra's Death. Their album comes out on In the Red Records this week. I just took them on tour with my 3-piece improv group, Murderous Again in the South. Mm-hmm. And they're amazing. And I met Taylor, that's Taylor and Ty. I met her at a club when I was doing a show. I'm like, who are you? Trust the Witch. I didn't know anything about her. And then, hello, best friends, on tour with them. And there's a great group called Bog Creeper out of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, which is also a 2-piece, which I produced at Martin Bisi's studio. True lyrics, just monstrously female bass player, drummer. I like these 2 pieces, by the way. Mm-hmm. And then there's a great band also from Rochester, now Tennessee, called New City Slang, Herlo Crandall, which I met him he wanted to interview me about no wave and literature. I found out he was from my hometown, and then I found out he was a musician. And I suggested his next album, which is out now on Bandcamp, called Better a New Demon Than an Old God, based on an album with John Giorno and Williams Rose. I suggested he write all his song lyrics about various books he read, which he did. Mm-hmm. New City Slang up on Bandcamp. So, I mean, more than listening, if I'm listening to music, it's usually instrumental. Budos Band, Yusef Lateef, Jazz Sahara, things like that. Baba Zula, which is a Turkish band. I don't need enough, but I did hear an amazing song last night called 13 Men by Anne Margaret, something to be investigated. Joseph Keckler is an amazing musician, who I also tour with. So in my spare time, it's more like forensics, glass of whiskey, leave me alone. Is that guilt? Doesn't make me guilty? Guilty as charged.
So when you moved to New York in the late 70s, was that no wave movement already going, or was that something you...
Hell to the no. Well, what was going was Suicide and Mars. Mm-hmm. Okay, and Mars is still one of my favorite bands. I consider them the epitome of no wave, period, even though I came along and invented the title. And Suicide, by the way, Suicide invented the title punk rock in like 72. They have posters, they have flyers when they were performing in 72 that say punk music, but they meant it more as like prison punk, not political fashion punk. Anyway, yeah. No wave. Look, it's only a movement in retrospect. And how I like to define the difference between punk rock and no wave is, first of all, punk rock is like 3 chords sped up for the most part. And also, there's, they consider so much music punk rock that might not be. Joy Division, really? It's only that period that makes them punk rock. Magazine, really? It's only that period. Wire, by the way, Wire was one of the greatest bands I ever saw when I lived in the UK. No wave, though, and most punk rock, punk, quote unquote, rock, fashion and politics in the UK. New York no wave was about personal insanity in a city that was also, on the verge of decay. So that's how I define the difference. And also, when you hear the term punk rock, although we just illustrated some of the diversity of the sound, you kind of know what it means. No wave has no relation to each other. It is very Dada. So Contortions do not sound like Mars, do not sound like Teenage Jesus, do not sound like DNA. And again, it's only a movement in retrospect. And I think that period of music, art, literature, film, photography, first of all, we came out of an era where the 60s failed. So we were nihilistically against the Summer of Love ended with the Summer of Hate. Thank you, Charles Manson. We were infected and influenced by Taxi Driver, the movie, Kennedy assassination, Nixon, Vietnam War. That is what impregnated our psyche. The same way that Thatcher impregnated punk rock in London. Okay? Mm-hmm. The same way that the cops beating up punk rockers in LA reflected their music. So I remember quite fondly, and this is because the other morning I woke up with David Berkowitz, the son of Sam, in my face. I left forensics on all night, and he's talking about being a prison minister. And I was in New York during the summer of Sam, of course, which was also the blackout of 77, which was amazing, which is where hip hop started. So, a relation to anything, just saying.
So, what did you guys call it? Because No Wave was after the fact.
That just popped out of my mouth in an interview one time. We didn't call it anything. We were just fucking late night weirdos that got into clubs for free and all sounded different.
But you knew it was unique, right? I mean, you knew it was unique and different.
Look, yes. I mean, does any of those bands sound like anything else? No. Does anything sound like Mars? No. Teenage Jesus? No. By the way, the less we knew musically, for instance, if somebody who's really musically talented, I'll take like a Nels Cline, it is impossible for him to play Teenage Jesus because it makes no sense musically. You have to memorize, which Teenage Jesus practice every day, had to, because I would beat them with a coat hanger if they got anything wrong. If you're going to be that weird, you had to be tight. I knew nothing. I didn't even have a guitar. I wrote those songs on a bass, whatever. And then you have, students writing PhDs on my guitar, and I'm like, whatever. Try to copy it. It's a challenge because and again, if you don't have a vision, don't give it a sound. Well, we had vision, so we gave it a sound. Now, people could sound like the Contortions, but nobody can sound like Mars. Nobody can sound like Teenage Jesus. Mm-hmm. You can take references from it. But even we didn't know how we did it. Except it had to be fucking precise.
So when you went in to record, did you know what you're going to record, or was there a lot of improvisation?
Of course. Okay. Excuse me. Back to what I was saying. If you're going to be that dissonant, you better be tight. And, the drummer I met by putting out a homeless person he had set on fire. And I'm like, all right, now you're going to drum. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. And I literally had to take his hands like a monkey to play one drum, one cymbal. You are going to play the drum. And eventually the best bass player was, of course, Jim Sclavunis, who's played with so many people, and also Grinder Man and Nick Cave, whatever. His fate is his fate. Jim Sclavunis was the best bass player. But we did rehearse every day. What else did we have to do? Nothing. In those days, you only did $10 a day to survive. So I'd stand on the street corner and tell women that children are born with cancer. Could they give me $1? And I was done in about 10 minutes. What are you going to do? Rehearse. Hello, better be tight. And there's been a few Teenage Jesus revivals. Once with Thurston Moore and Jim Sclavunis, or I like to call it the World Trade Centers and Building 7, because they're both 6'7" and I'm 5'4". So that's how it felt. Fun, of course, absolutely fun. But when in one of the first revivals, there haven't been that many, but I'm like, wait a minute. I knew how to play the slide, muscle memory, whatever. But I'm like, since I never really had a guitar at that point until I got one, I'm like, and I don't know anything about music. I know no chords, no notes, no nothing. I am really just an idiot savant. I had to call up Sclavunis and go, Jim, I know where the slide goes, but what about the quote unquote chords? He goes, you had your guitar tuned once a month. It wasn't even yours. Okay. So when you're listening to some live things, it's harmonics that you didn't even vet that were just there. Just put your fingers in the same places Thurston puts his fingers. It'll all work out fine, which you did. Fine. Thank you very much. But the slide parts, which are, the defining characteristic of Teenage Jesus. Oh, muscle memory. Right. I can't forget. How am I supposed to forget? One of my favorite, and Teenage Jesus, that's for 7 to 13 minutes. Mm-hmm. One of my favorites was we played the 30-second Red Alert every other song. But Teenage Jesus to me was like a na 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 na, and that is Red Alert. Na 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 na. It's like a fuck you, which it still stands up as that.
100%. So, which came first, those initial Teenage Jesus singles or the No New York compilation?
I think the singles probably came first. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you guys went in and I guess pooled your money
Blasted
together.
Out. I mean, that was just a weirdo called Charles Ball that had a record label, wanted to put out some singles. So okay,
Migraine. So
Migraine.
So that was.
I mean, what a better label for Teenage Jesus.
So, did he put out anything else besides Teenage Jesus? I thought that was just...
Not sure about that. something.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that.
Okay, so he came on. He saw you. He's like, "We need to put you on record." Do you know how many of those were made or how they were distributed?
I have no clue. And whenever I see one, I go, "Don't ask me to sign it. It's not going to be worth anything more."
Oh, but it's like an old friend, right? I mean, something that was
Well,
there in the beginning.
by the way, going back to this, do you know the band The Shags?
Yeah, absolutely. The
Well,
three
there's
sisters.
a Shags documentary coming out, and they have licensed orphans from teenage years. I don't know why. I can't wait. I don't know what it has to do with the Shags.
What?
Whatever.
What were the records, or what was the music that was influencing you at that time?
Well, no, let's take this in the reverse of what it was. The music that influenced me was what I had to go against. For instance, I love the Voidoids. I love the Stooges. I love Berlin by Lou Reed. I love the Velvet Underground. I love David Bowie's musical schizophrenia. I was not going to sound like any of that. I basically, first of all, spoken word was the most important thing to me, but it was really, so I started a band that's half instrumental, which is Teenage Jesus. My goal was spoken word, but I had to go in first to New York in a sense with music. And there was no music that influenced Teenage Jesus. It was an anti-influence. I'm not going to sound, first of all, I couldn't. I was not a musician. How am I going to sound like that? So, and it was really literature that influenced me. But let's face it, Teenage Jesus does not sound like a Hubert Selby novel, no matter how you or a Henry Miller. Maybe a Genet. I'm not sure. I had no relation.
I always assumed it came out of the sounds of the city, too. Right? The sounds of the...
I always thought it was great music to play in a factory to get people to work faster so they get the fuck out of there and go home.
The room clearing music.
And again, even the titles, even if the song was an instrumental, and we did have half instrumentals, I don't know why, the title was as important as a novel to me because the words were important. But, and I also had a group called Beirut Slump at the same time, which I wrote the music for, but did not sing. I played guitar. Vivian Dick was a filmmaker. She played keyboards. And it was a brother and sister from Nashville that I got, that I solicited into. And it was once described by J.G. Thorwell as a slug crawling over a razor blade. So how frenetic Teenage Jesus was. Beirut Slump, I would say, was the first real horror rock. No. It's really like like almost a trauma film brought to fucking sound. And we only did 3 shows, and the vocalist Bobby Swope said he got all of his lyrics off of homeless people on the subway. So one of the 3 shows we played, a homeless person gets up and starts singing. I'm like, is that the guy you stole the lyrics from? Had no idea. No, it wasn't. Of course,
he is now.
Yeah. Well, I guess he's in the band now. There were a lot of bizarre and interesting homeless people around New York, and that had names like the Nose, which of course you can imagine one that was hanging off the face of a desperate person. The Foot, who had one stinking foot. Miss Diana, who wore all these wigs. There were quite colorful people in our vicinity of where we rehearsed, which I guess influenced the lyrics of Beirut Slump.
And so
it was a joyous time.
So only 3 shows, but you guys did do a single, the Bobby Berkowitz single. Again,
yes, and we played all the time. And there was also, whatever we could scrape up from Beirut Slump was on a record called History. So I mean, we practiced again also almost every day. That didn't matter. It was in just the creation of doing it. I mean, look, if Teenage Jesus was not audience friendly, Beirut Slump was like only maybe Ghost Ghouls and Count Dracula would come. Maybe Son of Sam would have liked this music. It was insane. And it brought me great. I mean, when I hear it now, if I ever hear it, I just start laughing. And sometimes, for instance, Paul Leary of the Butthole Surfers once came up and quoted to me, shut up with a knife. I'm like, what the fuck? It's a Beirut Slump lyric. Beirut Slump really influenced me. How the hell did you even know about that?
He was the homeless guy.
Not pop. he ain't homeless anymore. He's on his couch collecting royalty checks because I asked him to be the guitar player for Retrovirus, and he said, I'm just going to sit home and collect checks. I'm like, oh, fuck you, then go ahead. Listen to Beirut Slump some more.
I don't think he's that hard for cash. He and I are talking in 2 days, so he's got something to promote.
Well, you know what? Send my regards and tell him I really wanted him to be the guitar player of Retrovirus, and I am the anti-Gibby Haynes.
I will tell him the offer's still open if you want.
Not for Retrovirus, but anything else. I loved the Butthole Surfers. I do believe I cooked them ribs in Spanish Harlem one time. That might have been years and years ago. Yes. Remind them of that.
Are you a good cook, Lydia?
Honey, I have a cookbook that came out and is coming out again in January on Feral House called The Need to Feed. Look, if you're on tour, the last thing I want when I get home is other people's fingers in my mouth, unless I request it. So when you're poor, you learn to cook. You have to cook. And the reason I wrote a cookbook, which came out 15 years ago, but it's coming out again on Feral House, is I don't know if you ever saw the show True Blood. I hadn't. Mm-hmm. Well, set in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, a bunch of vampires. Well, the one character, Marianne, who was like a witchy Dionysian who would make food and drug people for orgies, claimed she based her character on me and Ken Russell. I'm like, what the hell? I'd never seen True Blood. So the first episode I see is a vampire twisting a girl's head all the way around. I'm like, I'm in. It took me 10. So I decided I should write a cookbook called The Need to Feed based on the fact, what is she doing? Drugging, fucking, cooking for people. Hey, what's the difference? But it took me more than 10 years to actually meet her, Michelle Forbes, great actress, through a friend of a friend. And I'm like, she's like, I based my character on you. I go, I wrote a cookbook because of you. But the first place that put it out did jack shit for it. Now it's coming out through Feral House, reissued. And the meat chapter is called The Killer Inside Me. The spice chapter, This Is Gonna Hurt You. There are introductions, musical selections, arcane facts about food, blah, blah, yes. And yeah, it's a sexy volume, let's just say.
Yeah. Do you think some of those will be on the merch table here in Australia?
Honey, it's not out till January. No, it won't. Maybe next time I come around.
Okay.
Next time I come around.
I'll hold you to that.
Look, we'll have T-shirts. We'll have candles. We'll have flasks. We'll have big, sexy noise. We'll have whatever else I can muster to bring.
Okay, so...
Marty, I want from me. You want to bleed me dry? Yeah, Feral House in January, Need to Feed.
So let's talk a bit about Suicide, because you're covering their songs quite a bit, and you were involved in
Alan
the band.
Vega's
you were,
and
yeah. Talk to me about those. Talk to me about those early shows when you discovered them.
Okay, so the second time I ran away to New York, I get off the Greyhound. I go to this club I had heard about called Mothers, and there is Wayne before she was Jane County, who, believe it or not, was a pen pal of mine. Yes. I'm like, oh my God, I'm home. There was a horrible band playing, and I'm like, I get off the Greyhound. I got $200, and that's a lot of money in 76, 77, and a suitcase. So I pick up the lead singer, and he takes me to this huge loft in Chelsea, right around the corner from Max's Kansas City. 2 days later, Kitty Bruce, Lenny Bruce's daughter, is moving out of a loft bed. Perfect. I'm moving in, and forget about this lead singer. I don't care. I don't like it. I just am hustling. So one of the first concerts I go to is around the corner at Max's Kansas City, and it's Suicide. And I knew nothing about them because nobody did at that point. There were 10 people there. Maybe Thurston Moore was one of them. So I pledged my allegiance, as the young tiny terrorist would do. And then Martin Rev would I was younger than his fucking son at the time, would give me vitamins. And I'm just like, this is why I came here. And I was living around the corner from Max's Kansas City. As before I just got there. And that's how that all began. And it was really seeing and hearing something like Frankie Teardrop or Harlem. I'm like, oh, I'm deep in this. Alan Vega looking all cute and hot and leather-bound, beating his own face with a microphone. Come on now. I could not resist.
So that just became, fresh in New York, that became your community immediately.
They were my community, yes. And I didn't know anybody. Of course, I ran away. I knew nobody, but I knew I had to go there. But the first person I meet is Wayne County, my pen pal, who then, when she became Jane, we had a mutual, and I don't have many enemies. We had a mutual enemy. And so that bound us together even further. And before I had ran away to live in New York, I believe the first time I ran away at 13, 14, I saw Wayne, Jane County, and Cherry Vanilla at a cabaret uptown And Wayne Jane had a toilet on stage. And Cherry Vanilla, who managed Bowie for a while, was the most beautiful woman in the world until Debbie Harry came along. And I'm like, how did I even know to go to that thing? I do not know. Just one of those things. So when I first ran away at 13, 14, and my neighbor across the street, Dad drove us in the middle of the night to the Greyhound station as I snuck out my basement window. He didn't tell anybody. Well, I'm like, I got to go back and get some money. I'm not going to give blowjobs to an Iranian in a fucking shoe shop here or whoever's running it. Thank you very much. So I went back after a few days, got money by working in a hotel with a false ID because I was a bit young, planting things in pilots' suitcases, fucking the engineer in the bathroom. I was just doing kinds of naughty shit until I gathered up $200, which was a lot of money in those days. I'm like, I'm out of here. That's it. Snuck out the basement window again and ran away, and bye-bye.
So
bye-bye.
How long was it from the time that Greyhound came to New York the second time and then when you were on a stage making art in front of people?
A year, maybe a year. Because seeing Suicide, seeing Mars, meeting James Chance, the crabbiest person I'd ever met in my life, who was already playing something. And, he was in Teenage Jesus originally, but he was too hot and I was too cold. I'm like, you got to start your own band. He was into audience participation, meaning beating them up, and I was into distance, cold as ice. So I encouraged him to get out, but he did take me in for a while. I mean, I was a couch hopper because what the hell, hello, even though you only did 10 days to survive, $10 a day to survive, it was my first apartment cost $75. Yeah. But it took a while to get that.
Right.
I had to convince the person that owned it that I could get rid of the stench of death because the guy had died by electrocuting himself. The dog ate his face. It smelled like death. There was an African painting on the wall that had a burn mark in it. And I'm like, hey, I need this apartment. And the landlord goes, I can't rent it. It's got the smell. I go, give me a few minutes. So I went around the corner to the bodega, to the Botanica. I said, smell of death. How do you get rid of it? And they gave me a small bottle with a skull and crossbones on it and go, a few drops. Went back, got rid of the stench, got the apartment. Now, it was between two abandoned buildings with 6 feet of garbage pile sky high on 12th Street and whatever avenue, B and C. But around the corner from me, and I lived in the same fucking address 3 times, it's like a curse. Moved to the front building, $150, much bigger apartment. Moved back sometime later to the storefront. But my neighbors at that point were Thurston Moore, who I would see stalking around the subway, didn't know him yet. Richard Kern, Richard Etzen. We all lived like in a 1-block radius. That just happened to be what it was. But I don't know. Somebody gave me a bass. That's how I wrote the songs of Teenage Jesus. Don't even ask. How did I even perfect the slide on that? No fucking idea. And then eventually I found this abandoned building. So downtown, which nobody was living much below Houston Street at that point, except for Donnie Christensen and Jody Harris, who were in the Contortions. They had a loft there. There was an abandoned building next to them. So I called the landlord. I'm 17. I'm like, why don't you let me go inside until you sell it? Maybe some action will encourage. So they let me adopt this entire abandoned building next to my friends, running electricity down from their house, showering in their house. That's where Teenage Jesus practiced a lot. No lights, no nothing. Underground printing press in the sidewalk. And we were there for about 6 months. I don't even know how we did it, but we practiced.
Where was that? This is kind of Chelsea.
That was in Tribeca, which wasn't called Tribeca then. It was below Houston Street by quite a bit. It was below Chamber Street. There was nobody down there then. Now it's prime real estate, but there was nobody. There was Donnie Christensen and Jody, Contortions and other things. So I just ran electricity from their place. Until they saw how we decorated the storefront, the landlord goes, get out. Mannequins, whatever. I have no idea. But so you could do it in those days. So, it was just, I took a chance. I'm like, I'm going to call the landlord and go and convince him I need to be in this building. Who else is going to move into an abandoned building with no fucking running water and no lights, no electricity? I'll do it.
Yeah, maybe some action will spur something, which is a good instinct.
Well, I mean, eventually, the action was he finally kicked me out. I don't even remember other than I have a very vivid memory of rehearsing there, but I have no memory of sleeping there because where the hell did I sleep? I had to sleep somewhere. I must have been sleeping there. No idea. How did I even get to bed? No idea. Then things progressed a little bit.
So these bands of misfits are together. You guys are playing gigs with one another. How many gigs would you have in a given week?
Oh, very few. I mean, first of all, the interesting thing was it was Peter Crowley at Max's Kansas City that offered he would do a month-long Monday night, right, kind of thing. So he invited Teenage Jesus to do that. I don't know why. He was a weirdo. And I invited Beth and Scott B., who were making films at that time, to show the films they'd already made, but they were instead going to make films every week, which is unheard of. And they made a film called The Offenders, which had John Lurie, Anna Sui, Walter Lure, everybody on the Lower East Side was in this film about male and female gangs. And they even got, trust me, I don't know how, they even pushed a car into the East River in this film.
Mm.
Kind of an accomplishment.
Yeah.
Anyway, I still work with Beth B. That's just the way it was back in the day. But so anyway, J.D. Dowdery of the Patti Smith group was mixing Teenage Jesus until Patti heard about it. And she's like, And maybe she threw him off mixing us because Bradley Field, the drummer of Teenage Jesus, used to accost Patti Smith, "You dirty hippie, get out of here." Could have been the reason he had to get off the gig. Doesn't matter.
So
doesn't matter. I mean, I don't know how many shows we did. I mean, I see posters sometimes that, like, I don't remember doing that. Of course, how am I going to remember what happened? I don't remember what happened 45 days ago, much less 45 years ago. I played with Suicide. I did. Teenage Jesus and Suicide. I don't remember.
So you get people like Brian Eno coming in. Did you ever get Bowie or Iggy or who else would come in?
Bowie. Okay, you want to hear a bit of rock gossip about that? First of all, I was a Bowie fanatic until Diamond Dogs, one of my favorite albums. After that, didn't like it. I mean, I wanted to just knock him out with Young Americans. Couldn't stand it. Go into pop. I was still in high school before I ran away. Okay. In Rochester, where I'm from, I met a promoter. I'd go to every concert. I'd go backstage because I knocked on a college radio door and said, "Look, I'm poor. I need tickets." He goes, "All right, even better. I'll give you the number of a promoter." I went to every concert, backstage, whatever. I was already over Bowie and his Berlin phase or whatever it was when he came to Rochester with Iggy Pop. I'm like, I'm not going. Boycott. Which is a good thing because if I would have gone, the police were there and they would have been busted for drugs and an underage girl doing drugs and maybe other things. You never know. So I actually saved their careers, I'll say. I just recently covered Johanna from Kill City, one of my favorite Iggy Pop records, for my booking agent, Joey Killingsworth. His band is called the George Jonestown Massacre, and they're great. And every few years they do a tribute record. Like they did one, for Johnny Cash. They did one for MC5, and the proceeds go to charity. So I just covered Johanna, Kill City. I mean, first Few Stooges. I fell off after that. Kill City, whatever. I guess I spared David Bowie and Iggy Pop's career by not being there, doing drugs and other things I would have been doing. I'm just saying. Bowie might have been afraid of me because of the things I've said about Brian Eno, like it was like you did a shitty job on New York, whatever. Diamond Dogs backwards. I mean, I would say nobody's going to recognize this, but Bowie, very influential because of his musical schizophrenia. Man Who Sold the World, to Aladdin Sane, still one of the best. But even better, people don't know Mick Ronson's solo records, Slaughter on 10th Avenue, one of the best cabaret glam records, which Bowie stole everything for Aladdin Sane. Mick Ronson, Slaughter on 10th Avenue. I still play it constantly. Yeah. One of the best glam cabaret records.
I would imagine you'd have a collegiate of artists at the time that were curious as to what's going on. I'm just saying Lou Reed, Andy Warhol. People were they coming to these?
Okay, well, stop. No, Lou Reed always a dick. Let's stop.
I'm not going to disagree with you.
Warhol. Always a dick, but look, Berlin, one of my favorite albums. Come on now. And I was the last contributor to Metal Machine Music Compilation Volume 2. Warhol. He once sent through his dog boy a copy of interview signed for me. I ripped it up and said, "Son, send $100 bill." Sent another one. I'm like, still not working for me. My generation was kind of anti-Warhol because of his celebrity crap. Like his car crashes, amazing, what he did. But we thought of him as a viper that collected people and celebrity and had other people do his fucking work. My generation was kind of against him. But he'd be at CBGB sometimes, watching Mars occasionally with his hand like that. I found him vapid, vacant, and absurd, but that's not always bad.
Right. But yeah, he was looking to absorb from others. So you were being very cautious about that.
And right. And also the superstar bullshit. And then he went to actual celebrity stars. I mean, the Liza Minnelli, the Brooke Shields. I mean, it's just repulsive to us, my generation. It's like, okay, come on, go back to the fucking soup cans or the car crashes, the electric chairs. That was good shit.
Did you and the other bands? Did you like the result of No New York, or was there animosity towards it?
No, I thought Eno did a shitty job on Teenage Jesus. I thought he did a great job on Mars. Bob Klein mixed some Teenage Jesus. He did a great job. Leave it to Robert Klein. I don't know if it was before or after fucked himself into the hospital that he was doing the mix of. I think the Contortions sound good. I think Mars sounds good. Nobody cared. We didn't care. It was like, oh well, another thing that's going nowhere. And by the way, they never paid us, Universal. They have that record in hock. We should have it back. We've tried for 18, 20 more years to get it away from them because what do they fucking care? There's been Russian bootlegs, but really, they don't give a shit. I've released much better stuff with Teenage Jesus on it than that piece of crap. And so is Mars.
Yeah.
Mars recordings are great.
I was really pleased to see the reissues you did through Amphetamine Reptile. The ones a few years back with the lino cut one. So you have all the masters of those. Do you still have tapes? I own everything. And stuff? Okay.
Nah, forget it. I mean, now that everything's already been on CDs, there you go. Right. No, but I own everything because I was crafty, unlike most people in music. I own everything I've ever done. I own everything. I own the publishing. I own the rights to it all. I don't know how I did that, but I just did.
And you've been
smartly.
You've been very prolific with your works. Now,
well, I mean, the thing is, look, even though I own it all, it's not like Slipknot just sold all their catalog for $120 fucking million. I can't get 12 hundo for it. I did sell my archives to NYU, but only the physical shit, not the intellectual properties. So Slipknot gets 120 million. Who wrote what? 2, 3? I have never even heard a song of theirs. Not that anybody's heard.
I couldn't name one either. I know. I see their T-shirts all over the place, but that's about all.
Well, I mean, hello. Doesn't matter. We go on. We do what we do. We just do what we do. Never expected that. I'm waiting for a pot of. I figure that my career is like the lottery. I don't play the lottery. I have just as much chance of winning at the lottery by not playing it, and I feel my career is the same way. I have just as much possibility of one day cashing in on something. I doubt it. Than I do as not. So it doesn't matter. I just do what I do.
You never know.
What's going to crack?
You throw stuff out in the universe and hope something comes back.
I know what I have done. I know what I am. And I don't care if nobody else fucking knows that. I have shat in the face of history like no one else. And I will continue to do so. And that is my reward for being myself. I'm talking to you, so I guess that's all hunky-dory.
And we are all beneficiaries of that. Lydia, I'm so happy you're coming back to Australia. I'll put the links in this episode page where people will be able to see multiple performances, multiple opportunities. There's the Suicide shows, the Tex Perkins shows, and definitely this The War Is Never Over documentary.
Which Beth B did a great job of, understanding the psychology of why I do what I do. Which, people that have asked me over the years, documentary, I'm like, no. But Beth B, who I've worked with since like 78, she understood the meaning of why I do what I do. And beyond that, which is not showing in Australia now, but I did a documentary, Artist Depression, Anxiety, and Rage. I don't have anxiety or depression. My rage I'm paid for. I'm pretty much a happy hedonist and apocalyptician. You can't fuck with me. You can't piss me off. My piss off is global. It's not you and me. It's not going to work. But yeah, the statistic is like 73 to 75% of artists are depressed, have anxiety or rage. So I decided to make a documentary on this. And maybe I'm just arrogant. I think people should be more like me, like it's kind of necessary to be on the other side of the camera and interviewing like 25 people who I always thought, oh, he has the happy disease. Oh, no, total trauma. And I think that the issue, too, is with trauma or with childhood abuse, no matter what form it takes, whether it's religious, whether it's poverty, whether it's incest, bullyism, is that so many of the people in this documentary, Shirley Manson's in it, Ron Athey, so many people, Thurwell, that as a child, when something happens to you, don't ever talk about it. Like as if nobody else has this. Mm-hmm. Well, the first spoken word piece I did was called Daddy Dearest. So I started fucking talking about it. And I think that helped me to not be depressed, to not have panic, to not have anxiety. And again, my rage I'm paid for. I don't give it away free in my fucking free time. I'm happy go motherfucking lucky, because you know what? That's the benefit of my rebellion. Pleasure is the ultimate rebellion. And they can put their thumb as far as they want on my head. They ain't going to stick it on my ass. And if they did, I'd shit on it and put it on their forehead. That's what I'm saying. Words of wisdom.
Excellent, Lydia. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We look forward to more words of wisdom when you're down under. You be safe, you be well, and we'll see you down here in June.
You just better be happy I don't get you down under when I'm down under. We got to talk about that later.
You're going to have to fight my wife first, but there's a non-zero chance.
Maybe she'll be down there with you. You never know. You never know. I'm just saying, it's a proposition I don't need to live up to. Thank you very much for your time and energy. I don't understand, and I appreciate it. I'll see you soon.
Take care. Cheerio.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Woohoo! Boy, she did make me blush on that last one. Yep, going to have a conversation with the wife now. Anyway, Lydia Lunch on her way to Australia and New Zealand the month of June. PressPlayPresents.com. That's where you get the tickets and itinerary with Lydia. I'll be at one of those Sydney shows if you guys are around. Again, would love to have a beer and say hi. Lydia Lunch coming to Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Adelaide, Wellington. Ticket links at PressPlayPresents.com. And that's it for this episode of The Vinyl Guide. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks to everyone leaving those positive reviews on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Those of you who are sharing on social media, that's a huge help as well. We'll be back shortly with a brand new episode. So until we talk next time, you all behave yourselves. And thanks again for listening to The Vinyl Guide podcast. Cheers.